So Bernie Sanders is now on side with Hillary Clinton. But what about his supporters? Laurie Dodd is a Democratic delegate. She'll be in Philadelphia later this month for the party's nominating convention, and she is a Bernie Sanders supporter. She joins us from our Washington studio. So, Laurie, not a tremendous surprise on one level that Bernie Sanders is supporting Hillary Clinton as they get to the stage of the race. But what was that like to watch for you today, given how hard you've campaigned for him?
Well, I remain committed to Bernie Sanders, and as we know, it was never about Bernie as an individual. It was not me, us. And so Bernie's progressive movement will continue. I've got to admit it was hard to watch, and I'm in contact with Bernie's supporters who are a little heartbroken over it, but it's time to move on to the next stage of our movement, which will not end even with the end of the 2016 presidential election.
Do you think that the vast majority, as anyone might hope that the vast majority would move with him, that they'll do as he's asked and support her?
I do believe that most of Bernie's supporters will move forward and vote for Secretary Clinton and support her in the campaign. There will be a vocal minority who will not come along, but I think that happens in any campaign. We are a progressive movement ready to make government work for everyone, not just the 1%. And that's what Bernie called us to. That's what we believe Secretary Clinton can do if there is a progressive movement continuing to push her in the right direction.
Do you think he got the concessions that will make his supporters happy?
I think he did get some excellent concessions, you know, pushing for free tuition in public colleges, increasing the minimum wage to $15, including the public option for health care, breaking up the banks with an updated Glass-Steagall Act. There are some important concessions that would not have come if Bernie had given his endorsement too soon. So changes to the platform are critical. They have been important, and it's going to be up to us to hold Secretary Clinton or President Clinton's feet to the fire to see that those platform planks are not just lip service but are actually implemented.
You know, it's not unusual when people are running to be a leader of a particular party that they necessarily point fingers at each other to say, I'm better than this person, but
right.
They try not to point, you know, too vigorously so as not to damage the party as a whole. And yet, you know, I can't even equate any other race that I'm aware of, like this presidential race, where people running in the same parties have said so much about each other. Certainly worse on the Republican side, but even on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders has talked about her, you know, selling out to Wall Street, and he was pretty direct in his criticisms. How does the party put that aside now?
Senator Sanders always said from day one that he knew Secretary Clinton well and respected her. I do think that he has kept his criticism focused on policy differences and not on personal differences. So I think it can be overcome. Disagreement is part of democracy. We move forward together.
You know, no surprise at all that Donald Trump was tweeting about this even as it was happening. And as we saw in the previous report, he said Bernie Sanders, who has lost most of his leverage, has totally sold out to crooked Hillary. He will endorse her today. Fans angry. You talked about that small majority of people who won't be able to endorse her, but do you think they'll be very vocal?
I think their voices will be less strong as the importance of bringing forward our progressive movement becomes more apparent. You know, the day of the endorsement, many people are disappointed, a little heartbroken, hoping that Senator Sanders was going to carry this into the convention floor. I do think that most of Senator Sanders' supporters will get on board with the Democratic nominee and take us strongly into the election in November.
Having come as far as he has, I mean, it was clear mathematically some time ago he was not going to get the nomination through the primary system. Why do you think he made the decision today to just finally go, okay, I'm done, I'm supporting her, and I suggest you do the same? Why not, having come this far, go all the way to the convention floor?
I can't answer that for you. I do think that it was important for Senator Sanders to hold out as long as he did, because he did get some major concessions on the platform through the meetings in Orlando just the last weekend. And so staying the course and and not endorsing too early was important. But I think that there is an impatience among the rest of the Democratic Party to move towards a single candidate, and they were eager for his endorsement. I think either way, if he had endorsed too soon, he would not have brought enough of his followers along with him. If he endorsed too late, he's accused of damaging the Democratic nominee. So he had to walk that tightrope. I think he did pretty well.
Laurie Dodd, thanks so much for joining us and giving us your thoughts on this.
Thank you.
Laurie is a Democratic delegate from Virginia. She joined us from Washington.